Hey everybody, hi Horror Tree fans, family, followers, and first timers. I'm Sarah Elliott and I'm joined by Matt Micheli, author of three fantastic books and more, but we're going to talk about the latest book today. If you haven't met Matt before, here's a little bit about him. Horror and dark fiction writer out of New Braunfels, Texas, author of The White, D&T Publishing. He has several fiction and non-fiction pieces featured in various magazines and anthologies. A loving husband and father to a daughter and husky dogs. He spends his day dabbling in domestication and his nights in tequila, always searching for the next great story. Okay, so Matt,
Yes, ma'am.
2 minutes with the devil. Before we dive into that, because,
Yes.
well, I won't give any spoilers away. Can you tell us that you experienced an 80s childhood without telling us you experienced an 80s childhood?
Um, well, if you read the book, obviously I experienced it. So it's okay. Here's how the day would go in the summer. You get up, eat your cream of wheat, whatever your mom made for you that morning. You go outside, grab your bike, you'd ride to your buddy's house. Then y'all would ride wherever. Then y'all would go hang out at a tree house. And then right before dark, your mom would typically yell from the porch of the house a few blocks over. And that meant it was time to go home. And you kind of repeat that every day. Your parents see you in the morning and in the evening. Um, and There's very little attachment from there. You're pretty much you're left to your own devices all day. Um, no phones.
Mm,
Had a Walkman.
yeah, I
Um,
remember Walkmans.
yeah, and you know what? I had Van Halen, and I forget the album, but I had Van Halen in my Walkman, and I remember telling somebody this is the best band ever, and they were like, "Not the best band ever." And we had that discussion, but yeah, oh, good old days. I miss them. I do.
I could tell.
Yeah,
So about the look on your face, like,
teary
oh,
eyed over here. Yeah,
oh,
yeah. My
thanks,
older
Matt.
sister listened to Depeche Mode and Thompson Twins and Billy Idol. That would also give it away, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely 80s.
Mm-hmm. And I listen to them
Okay.
now.
And it's interesting as well, like, because I was a child of the 80s as well, we were always within shouting distance.
Yeah.
So you won't you
Yep.
only went
Yep.
as far as if, you know what I mean,
Yep.
needs to be able to hear the shout to come back in. Can't go too far.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So you got a couple of blocks, or something, and it was like, and you'd be like, oh no. Yeah. And one time I didn't hear my stepmom calling from the porch and I got in big trouble.
Uh-oh.
That meant I went too far, as you just said.
Yeah. You went outside the perimeter.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so right, 2 Minutes for the Devil is the third book you published in under 6 months. So,
Yeah. Tell me about it.
yeah. 6 months ago, did you have the three ideas for the books already, or did they emerge one after the other?
Um, they were each a little different. The white kind of came to me, and I just started writing that one. I didn't know where it was going to go, but I kind of had the initial concept, so that was a new idea. Scratched was a novella I wrote years ago, but
Okay.
I've kind of revisited it here and there.
Mm.
I just decided to finalize it as kind of a in between book, in between the white and my newest one, 2 Minutes with the Devil. 2 Minutes with the Devil started out as a kind of an 8,500 word short story,
Mm-hmm.
um, that I wrote for an anthology actually. Um, and just the word count, it's hard to get a story that big in an anthology unless they're specifically calling for it. But I remember them coming back, and I remember them saying they absolutely adored the characters.
Mm.
The dialogue was realistic and great, and they gave me the feedback like I think you need to turn this into something bigger. And of course, I forgot about that for a while, and then one day I remembered that email, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to make this a bigger book. So Scratched and 2 Minutes with the Devil were both kind of stories I kind of had and just
Yeah.
went with it. So I had the initial idea and concept and characters and cast and all that good stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, when I write, I don't really know where the story's going to go, and I don't really know the ending or how I'm going to tie it together until that point in time comes.
Yeah.
So it'll be midway into the story, and I'm thinking like, I don't know what's going to happen, which is also kind of exciting because you're kind of like the reader at the same token.
Mm.
But yeah, so yeah, 3 books in 6 months, that's an awful lot. And I mean, to say it wasn't stressful releasing these that close together is pretty, would be a lie. So I'm actually I do have one anthology that asked me to write a story. So I'm going to be writing that story. I'll be putting out a Halloween story part 2 this Halloween, which is another self-pub. So the 3 stories together, 3 short stories. But I won't be starting on my next novella until sometime next year. And yeah, the idea of back to back to back, I kind of front loaded pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And now it'd be, maybe a small little story here and a novella per year, something like that. And kind of get on a less stressful pace if I can. But
Yeah. Because even like you said that you had the idea for one already and one was, partially written anyway, even, getting 3 books out in such a short space of time, like letting everybody know about it, promoting, marketing, all of that. It must have just been go, 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 go. So I hope you got a
it,
nice holiday planned soon.
yeah, it is. And then you're riding that line of not trying to spam everybody, with
Mm,
constant books. So I try not to, I want to promote my book and I share stuff when people review sometimes, not all the time.
yeah.
Because it's a fine line promoting on social media and stuff. But what's cool is with each book release, I've learned a little bit to where
Mm,
I kind of came into 2 Minutes with the Devil with my reader list, my advanced reader list that I compiled over the last 2 books. Kind
yeah.
of had an idea like I'm going to give out this many. We're going to kind of do this and kind of some ideas to promote it, which will start on June 2nd when the book is released. Yeah, there's some fun to it, but yeah, it is a lot to get 3 books out in 6 months. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
But never again.
Yeah. Learn your lesson.
Hashtag never again.
Yeah. That's the last time I'm doing that.
Yeah, might mean something else. I don't know.
So, out of those 3, which was your most favorite to write and which was the most challenging?
Um, my favorite is 2 Minutes with the Devil, and I'm not just saying that because that one's about to come out. Um, Most challenging, I I could stick with that one too, just because I felt a little more attachment to the characters, I guess.
Mm,
And there was a lot of nostalgia and just memories from my childhood, and um, and I mentioned it to you, it's kind of loosely based on my environment growing up, so it's all real. A lot of that stuff's real.
yeah.
So with different characters, and it's a horror book, and things happen to people that aren't the best. I could say that was a little more challenging, but I mean, I really enjoy the writing, and and getting that feeling when you do write something with that character, if it's a love scene or a death scene, and you're kind of feeling it emotionally, even as the writer, it's pretty awesome. Um, but yeah, that's my favorite piece of writing I've done.
Mm,
All of my writing at this point. Um, and yeah, the group, the cast of characters, I just, you know, you can't beat them. They were awesome kids. So,
yeah. So, as we're talking about 2 Minutes with the Devil, can you give us an elevator pitch for that book?
um, well, it's being compared to King's It a lot, which I'll take all day. Now, granted, it's probably about 500 pages, 500 less pages. Um, but it's a story about a group of kids set in the summer of '86. Um, I created a game called 2 Minutes with the Devil for this particular book, and fashioned it after games like Bloody Mary that we used to play
Mhm.
when we were young. So these kids are playing this game that summer, and some kids start to disappear while playing it. Um, so yeah, full of nostalgic fun, full of the '80s stuff, and not overdone, but
Mhm.
again, being real life experiences for me. These are things we did, and these are things we said. So the language might be a little different. There are a couple of parts that people mentioned where, kind of the darker side of the '80s with just comments that are made in there and stuff. But
Mhm.
it's gonna happen. Yeah, just a fun throwback thriller. I'd say anybody that enjoys a coming of age thriller set in the '80s, you're the ideal person to read it. And so far, praise has been excellent. So
Yeah.
very excited.
And it's realistic too. So it's authentically 80s. I found when I read it, it wasn't like I want to set a book in the 80s, but I want to make it appeal to this generation. So I'll change this word and not say this and not do that. It was just like, yeah,
No,
this is how it was in the 80s.
no, as soon as you start doing that, you're kind of I don't know. That's yeah, it's inauthentic, I guess would be the word to
Yeah.
use. Keep it real and write what is real. Um, but yeah, one of the somebody that had gotten copy for advanced review.
Hey, you frozen? I'm hoping that you're gonna unfreeze. And I am just gonna pause the recording while we get Matt back.
It's always us.
We're back.
We're back.
Unfrozen.
All these talk of '80s scary games. I think we're getting some glitching here in the computers. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, what did you start? What did you start, Matt?
Yeah, right. Um, but no, yeah, being authentic's big. Dialogue, talk like people talk back then. Talked how the kids how we talked back then and did things
Yeah,
that we did back then. It was it's all loosely based on reality. But but yeah, I don't know. I try to be subtle with stuff because I don't like to throw things that are obvious. You know,
yeah.
and I get you've read my book, so you kind of know too. I kind
Mhm.
of leave things open sometimes. I don't wrap it
Yeah.
up entirely sometimes. I like to be a little more subtle and kind of lead that route. But yeah, I think there were enough. There are a lot more '80s references, and I take
Mhm.
notes and stuff. If I were to ever revisit this story, let's say, um,
Mm,
but yeah, there are memories that pop up randomly, and I'm like, oh man, that would be awesome for this group of kids. Like this was what
yeah.
we. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. The '80s are hard to beat. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Now you've mentioned about revisiting the book, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'd be interested in reading that, definitely. Okay, so you've kind of answered a little bit of this, but you might go into a bit more detail because I feel the book's got a bit of a kind of Stand By Me, Stranger Things, Red Hand Gang kind of vibe to it. And in some parts, almost like an "Oh, there God, it's me, Margaret," but kind of from a male perspective. So, how much of it was drawn from your own childhood experience?
Um, Probably 80%. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, uh,
Did you just dish out some old diaries? Oh, let me find my old journals.
so like the characters. Well, again, I always say legally that's all purely coincidental. Any resemblance to real people, but
Mhm.
yeah, these are people we grew up with. I'll say we, so it doesn't. I'm not being as specific. Yeah, these are people we grew up with. These are conversations that were had. These are things that we did.
Mm.
Um, there's Teresa, the hot younger girlfriend.
Yeah.
All this stuff is we've come across this at some point. There's young love where you can't really explain. It's just you're infatuated and attracted to another person, and you have no idea how to explain it or why. When you're
Mm.
that age, it's all new and confusing and exciting and scary. Um, but yeah, all of these little moments. I mean, it's all based on on, things that I've been through or things that, friends of mine. I mean, and the town itself is based, I changed the name of the town, but that's based on my environment growing up, town I grew up in. So yeah, again, obviously I was a little more attached because these characters and places were a little closer to home, but yeah, a lot of the book, is real life stuff. So
Cool. Okay, so it covers like loads of themes. It's got friendship, community, young romance, adventure, urban legend. Now, I want to know the game in the book, is that a real game from your childhood? And how did you come up? If it wasn't real and you made it up, how did you come up with this particular urban legend?
so it's an original game. When we were young, there was a group of us that played Bloody Mary, and we kind of got really into it. And I've told this story to some other folks too, but it's, we would come to school with our own story of what happened when we played Bloody Mary at our house,
Yeah.
and there was this whole thing, and we, sometimes it would be the blood flowing from the faucet, or I saw her in the is we had all these stories, and then you don't know what's true or not true. You kind of don't believe it, but you kind of are still young and think maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So there's that little bit of fear there. And there's that little bit of leeriness too, when it's like, I don't want to play that stupid game, but it's not because the game's stupid. It's because you're a little bit scared to play it. It's not going to happen, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
that little bit of feeling. So I wanted to come up with my own game, and I fashioned it after Bloody Mary.
Mm-hmm.
The premise of the game is you go into the dark for 2 minutes, pitch dark. You have to keep your eyes closed for 2 minutes. If you open your eyes and you and the devil see each other, he eats your bones. And obviously I had the little nursery rhyme type
Mm-hmm.
thing that goes along with it. And so I came up with that game. I thought that was, paying tribute to the games we played in the 80s.
Mm.
And I thought, that's kind of a cool game too. I'm actually kind of off topic, but I'm going to be running a contest on TikTok and Instagram Reels. And the premise is the five. I want people to record themselves playing the game,
Mm.
upload it, and then I'm going to do, I'm going to open it up. Special effects and all that's fine, but I want to do the 5 scariest videos.
Yeah.
We'll win signed copies and some really cool 2 minutes with the devil merchandise. And then
Cool.
I'm thinking of also doing like the 5 most creative videos.
Mm.
So I'll be opening that contest up upon launch. My problem is I'm horrible at TikTok. I don't know. First thing I open it up and I'm so annoyed by it, I turn it right back off. It's so loud when I get on there or something. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's kind of in your face.
Yeah, it's too invasive. I want music on the videos, but yeah, no. So yeah, the game's completely original. Made it up specifically for this book, and again, just paying tribute to the games we played that we had a lot of fun with. There was a time period where it kind of consumed us, and it seemed like a long stretch of time, but we were young, so it was probably a matter of a few weeks where we were just really involved and
Mm.
coming to school with different stories and all that stuff. So that was a lot of fun, man.
I'm curious to know, were there any like urban legends that really scared you in your childhood, and are there any that like still kind of give you the heebie-jeebies now?
Um, Not really. I mean, the urban legend thing, it's kind of like a Ouija board, right? Like, it doesn't work, but you're also like, I don't know if I want to do this. Um, it's like, yeah, I don't have any problem doing a Ouija board, but if you want to go sit in a graveyard and do it, and I'm like,
Yeah, maybe
you
not.
know, yeah, you know what I mean? But not, I don't know. I guess I've kind of grown out of being scared of stuff, unfortunately. Because it is fun to be scared of things. But my dad used to, we had the whole full moon thing and the werewolf thing, and that was a big thing
Mm.
in our house. To where like my older brother and everybody would be like, my dad would be like, hey, will you go outside and grab this? And my older brother would be like, hell no, it's a full moon. I'm not going out there. Are you kidding me? And it was like my dad would claw on the windows and stuff sometimes. And,
Wow.
you know, so I do recall that as a kid. It scared me. But yeah, it's one of the weird things that I guess growing into an adult where our imaginations aren't as strong and we're not as scared of things that, we once were. But kind of sad, but oh
Mm.
well.
So, you've got a young daughter. Are
I
there
do.
any aspects of an 80s childhood that you wish she could experience and any that you're glad that she's not?
Um, so there are plenty that I wish she could experience. We're in that generation where everything is accessible to them at any given moment, and there's the screen time. You can watch any show, any movie you want. So it really takes the excitement out of things. And it also consumes a lot of their time. As a kid, and we grew up pretty poor. We got cable television at some point, but not for a long time. So when I was a kid, I had rabbit ears, um, and I had a wire that ran from the rabbit ears to the window pane to get better reception. Um, and you had your shows on Saturday morning. You had a couple of shows after school, but that was it. Outside of
Yeah.
that, you were
Yeah,
doing
that was
something else
it.
because there was no TV. Yeah, there was no TV.
Yeah,
So
that was
after
it.
that, you were outside having fun, and even if you weren't with your friends, you were playing, imagining doing something
Mm,
by yourself. You were just always playing and doing things. So I wish my daughter had that. And we had a discussion recently. I said, I don't want you to look back in 20 years and your fondest memories are of you sitting here watching TV,
mm,
or what on your tablet. It's like, that's not, I want you to enjoy things. So we're really working on this summer, getting her out and doing a lot of fun things. Like I brought home this robot thing that she got to put together the other day, and I helped her a little bit with it, which was, you know, that took her
yeah.
like 4 hours, but it's awesome and it's helping her learn. But yeah, so I wish there were no phones, tablets, computers. That would be good. So for kids at least.
Mm,
And I wish we had to go to Blockbuster to pick out a movie and you had to look through all the movies. I missed that so
yeah.
much. And then you get to the movie you want, and you're like, oh, they're out. It's like, well, we'll try in a few days. And it wasn't, you don't just rent it on TV now.
Yeah.
Uh, Things that um I don't know if I would take anything away from say my childhood to hers. I'm not talking about parents or any of that thing, but just the 80s in general.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this: when we watch an 80s movie with her, the language is pretty salty, but it's just like the Goonies or
Yes.
whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah. Of
But
course.
I'm like,
Yeah.
we came out okay,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, yeah, no, I mean, no, especially as a kid, I think you're oblivious to any of the problems in the world, and you're just having fun. So I
Mm,
wouldn't take any. I wouldn't say I'm glad she's not there. I kind of wish there would be more of that
yeah.
lifestyle now. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the screen time, that's the biggest challenge now.
Mm.
So we could go back just a little bit. It'd be like Terminator. We go back to stop the person that
Oh,
invents
yes.
cell
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cell phone's going to ruin the world. We have to go back and
Yeah.
stop it.
There's
Yeah,
a movie or a book.
that's
Good
it.
idea.
That's a good mock story, mockumentary, or
Yeah. That'll be fun, actually. Okay, so just a couple more questions. The
Sure.
book's told from different character perspectives, which gives it
Yes.
a real rounded feel and an insight into some of the individual characters' kind of struggles. How did this come about? Did that just kind of happen naturally, or did you kind of plan, I'm going to do it like this?
Um, I don't plan it. It's pretty natural for me, and I think you've read my others,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you'll catch on to kind of my style. I write like I'm writing a screenplay, or like I write like I'm watching a movie or creating a movie. So I
Yeah,
write
yeah.
it as scenes. So sometimes there are scenes in there with other characters that might not be essential to the main group. They're essential to the story, but they're not part of the main group. Um, and sometimes that throws people off. They're like the multiple POV type things.
Mm,
But they all say once I catch on to it, I get used to it. I'm fine with it. But no, I think it adds Um, I mean, again, just I always picture it as I'm watching it as a movie, as I'm writing it, and I look at it as a scene. So
Mm.
yeah, the first scene you're gonna have characters that aren't might not be there in the second scene. I mean, you have your primary group of protagonists that are in throughout,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a few other scenes that are thrown in there just to add things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it happens more natural. I don't plan on doing it that way. It just kind of happens that way
Yeah.
for me.
That makes sense now you've said that, because when I was reading it, I was like, and the way that you've done it like that, I was thinking it reminds me of something. It's like but I couldn't work out what it was. But now you said it's like a screenplay, like you're watching TV. First, there's this scene and these people are involved, and then it comes in from another scene. It's never, well, it's not never. It's often not just the same people in every single scene. So
Sure.
yeah.
And
And
yeah, scratched kind of has some of that too, right? So you got the young waitress. There's that scene with her, and
yeah.
then there's the young lady leaving the party. There's that scene with her,
Mm,
and they're not, part of the primary cast members, but they have a big part with
yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens to them. In other words,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
but
key
yeah,
to the story.
and yeah, and you'll catch on as you read my stuff. It is that's kind of how I approach it, and that's how I visualize
Yeah.
it as a movie.
Yeah.
So,
And that leads into the next question really well. Which of
oh
your
boy.
books would you most like to be made into a movie or series, and which actors would you like involved?
Uh, well, 2 Minutes with the Devil. Um, Part of it's because I think that one has the broadest commercial appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Part of it because I just love the group and I love the story, so I'm kind of attached to it.
Yeah.
Um, but and just the '80s, like if I could actually see it, produced into a movie, that would be really awesome, or even a series. I mean, it
Yeah.
could have potential for that too. Um, as far as the actors, well, Corey Feldman's a little old. Um, Kiefer Sutherland, he's a little old. I don't know. I don't know the new actors. You're talking about new actors? Oh man,
Well, they
I
get
don't
you
know.
really good with this de-aging stuff. So,
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it would be your kind of typical '80s kids.
Yeah,
I think Stranger Things did a really good job with their cast. I thought
they
they did a really
did.
good job with their cast. That show just came together perfectly. Everything
Yeah.
about it. That was a lot of fun. So I think you could kind of follow in their footsteps as far as the cast that you use.
Mm,
Except Dustin. There's no Dustin in 2 Minutes with the Devil, but
mm.
he's
Next
such a
book,
cool
next
kid.
book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I think that again, part of it because of the broader commercial appeal. It's not super gory, it's not super extreme or anything. It's not
Mm.
really not me. But I just think it's got a great story and a great cast of characters.
Yeah,
It's really cool to see them come to life
yeah.
on the screen. I mean, that'd be the dream, right?
Yep, I absolutely agree.
Yeah,
That's why I came up with that question. I was like, oh,
yeah,
it's a movie. I'd definitely go and watch it.
yeah. It'd be cool.
Okay, and just to finish,
Oh yes.
do you have any tips for writers around maintaining tension in a story and that kind of hint of foreboding?
Um. Yeah, I would say don't give it away too fast.
Mm,
Um. And sometimes I get criticized by that for not giving enough away or giving it away too fast. But to me, it's
mm,
kind of once you get to the reveal, in my opinion, the
yeah,
story's not going to really go. You're going to kind of wrap
yeah,
up, so it's not
yeah,
going to escalate anymore.
yeah.
So that's the exciting part is kind of riding to the top, right?
Mm,
But but yeah, take your time, be patient, plant seeds. And these are things that I really started to try to work on when I delved back into writing during the pandemic. Uh, just getting better at the craft, and if reading like Stephen King's On Writing,
mm,
some tidbits of info there. Tim Wagner's Writing in the Dark, Chuck Palahniuk's Consider This.
yeah,
Those books. Um, not only help you with the dialogue and but just the flow of the story and the building tension. A lot of good nuggets in there. But yeah, just be patient. Don't give it away too early.
Mm.
Um, and I obviously I can get better at that too. Like Stephen King's really good because it's almost like he's kind of giving it to you, but he's not. So you're just
Yeah.
sitting there. You're sitting there reading it, and you're like, "What's going to happen? What is it? Oh, here he comes!" And it's like,
Yeah.
"No," and you're going to read more, and it's like, it's just right there. So something's going to happen, but it's just
Yeah.
not. So that, and again, that kind of, if you look at movie making, that's when you're sitting
Yeah.
there, like you're waiting for the guy to jump out from behind the thing.
Yeah.
He's going to, but he's not yet. And then they open the door and there's no one there. It's like, just build it, you know. Um, but yeah, patience, don't give it away too early. And again, they may talk to other writers that say, no, give it all away. Like, because I've had that too. People told me
Yeah.
you don't give enough, you give too much credit to your readers, I've heard. You just gotta tell them everything. And I'm like,
Mm.
I don't like that. I'd rather them
Yeah.
sit there
No
and
problem with that.
maybe
Yeah.
not even really know by the time they finish it. Like they're like, I think this is what happened, but could it be this?
Yeah.
Which is really cool too. But yeah. And also other advice for young writers, just give up, stop writing.
I
No, I'm
didn't see
kidding.
that coming.
Do it. Do it because you love it. Don't do it to make money.
Yeah.
You make money, great, but do it as a passion and because you love it and as a hobby. That to me is more important than the actual storytelling process and writing processes. Is
Yeah.
do it because you love it.
Oh, thanks so much, Matt. A good note to end on. It's been great talking to you again, and I've really
Yes.
enjoyed all of your books. So, where can we buy 2 Minutes with the Devil?
2 Minutes with the Devil, depending on when this comes out. Let's see, June 2nd, it will be available everywhere. It's available on pre-order on Amazon as we speak prior to
Mhm.
June 2nd. But yeah, June 2nd is the full launch. Please grab a copy if you're into the 80s nostalgic stuff. And obviously, indie horror community reads and reviews and shares are what keeps us going, and it's what sells books for us. We don't have the backing from the giant publishers, so it's up to you guys, the indie horror community. You're really what keeps us afloat. We appreciate it. But yeah, June 2nd, it's coming out, and I would say keep your eyes closed once you read the book, but you have to open them to read it. So I just hope you don't see the devil.
And on
He'll
that
eat
note,
your
Matt,
bones. Yeah, he'll eat your bones.
thanks very much, Matt.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
look
Thank
forward
you.
to speaking to you again. Good luck.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.